Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirosho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Deku, he had just talked with his dad, and has been thinking about different things. He needs to gather allies. Clearly, if he just keeps taking quirks, then that's going to be a bit more suspicious. And, well, that's just it. Things will get more challenging if he tries to rely on just himself. But he can't just be ruthless. He needs to think about this a bit more. Plus, he has been getting attacked a lot more lately, so he does need to be careful. Clearly, word about his dad may have gotten out to the underworld. Now, with that being said, Deku would be heading home today. And he is actually talking with Ayama, as you do have a bit of an odd scenario. Deku can feel his spider sense go off sometimes, but he's not sure what's going on. You're just looking around to see what that is, or what this alarm is doing. Thinking that his quirk may be buggy, since there's no one around him. So, clearly something is happening. Now, with that being said, Deku would eventually get it home, finding this to be a bit odd, and actually talking with his dad about it, saying that he's not really sure what that is. His dad finding it to be a bit odd, but at least understanding. The quirk might be defective. His spider sense, as he calls it. So, clearly something is happening. Now, with that being said, this is whenever Deku, he would just continue his training, and actually be working on his illusions more and more today. As whenever he goes down into the basement, he would sit down, and immediately just begin. Whenever he does begin, this is whenever he would do one thing. He would quite simply just raise himself off the ground with telekinesis, and try and think about something. In the center of the room, there is, well, a ball, floating in midair, made of, well, Deku's illusion. And it is beginning to morph around and move. Deku turning, well, his super intelligence on, or this buggy quirk. As soon as he turns it on, this is whenever the ball would actually begin morphing properly, and changing. Deku just focusing on it more and more, trying to push this quirk to its, well, good limit. Now, his regeneration is actually helping him here a little bit, since it is fighting off the weird effects of this other quirk. But it can only do it for some amount of time. At one point, his quirk will begin to go haywire with itself. Him usually having to force the quirk off with his deactivation ability. So, this is odd, but today this feels a bit easier, as he finally creates something with his quirk. He creates an actual tree, one that seems to be working, or at least a proper size. Deku would open his eyes to see that it looks like a giant tree, but in fact it's just a miniature version of one, what he had in his head. So, he needs to think about this a bit more then. If this is what he has right now, then clearly it will be getting better. But let's try making a person this time. Deku beginning, actually staring at the tree, as it begins to somewhat implode on itself before turning into smoke. Deku watching as it would just begin to start forming. Deku creating a version of himself with his illusion, and walking over. the illusion actually beginning to walk around. Not really saying anything though. Deku just thinking harder and harder and harder. Until, with enough time, he would properly get hold of this ability, being able to talk with the illusion itself. Until all four would have come downstairs. Seeing Deku just standing with this illusion. All four confused for a second, and telling Deku that he has done well. Has he mastered the quirk yet? Deku just explaining, no, he hasn't. Although he believes that things will be getting better. Now, Deku's spider sense would go off, and his eyes would immediately dart toward the window. As he hears something, but at the same time, he's not sure what it was. Now, All For One is on guard, and he would have informed Karagiri. As soon as he informs Karagiri, Karagiri would have began trying to figure out exactly who is doing this. Teleporting to the top of the roof and looking around, seeing that there's a person close by running, and they seem to have been very close to the bar, or at least its location. Opening a portal and the person immediately running through, smashing into and actually tumbling over quite a lot of chairs. As the person will get back up and immediately look around, heading for a door, before Tomura would walk forwards and just hold out his hands, saying that they're not going anywhere. Exactly who are they? Now, with that being said, Deku, he would step out of the basement, along with his dad. The person who is... This person is in a hoodie, and they clearly are trying to hide something. Their identity, maybe? So, Deku would have stepped forward and immediately just pull this off. And be a bit surprised. Sayako. Him basically explaining to his dad that, well, this is her. Yes, your target. Well, that is quite odd. She came to us. So, I do believe that we should take her quirk then. Now, all of one just begin, saying that that is not the right course of action. Midoriya. She will go missing afterwards. You do understand this, so... As Sayako would begin to talk, saying that she didn't see anything. And things are not, well, this isn't what it seems. She just wanted to get an answer about something. And, well, she didn't see him using a... crap. Her basically just blurting out loud that she saw him use a quirk that he didn't have. Now, All For One would just do one thing, saying that he should be perfectly fine, as he does one little thing. He extends his hand out to Deku, and Deku would take it, confused for a second before he feels pain, and he would fall to the ground. As All For One just turned in telly and put his hand on her head, beginning to use his Deku's telekinesis, and another quirk he had, the super intelligence, with a quirk he has, to mix them all together into a proper form of brainwashing. Basically, telling Sayako that she needs to forget that this ever happened. And in fact, he has one more question. Did she follow his son here? Her explaining that yes, she did. She has been noticing some odd differences in his, well, life. And during the past couple months, she's been observant, noticing that whenever someone disappeared from their school, Deku seemed to get a lot better in the area of expertise surrounding that person's quirk. Along with, well, him being stronger, and actually during one incident, during the gym, whenever Deku fell, and scraped his arm, he actually healed in a couple minutes. No one really noticed it, but she did. And she's been trying to figure this all out. Deku eventually getting back up. All for one just staring at Deku, and Deku feeling his, well, glare. Thinking that this is bad. So, all for one just turned to Deku, saying that this is going to be interesting then. Well, what should we do with her? If we take her quirk, then, like you said, this will be getting worse. Deku confused, asking why is he giving him the choice? All for one just saying that this is his mess, and he will clean it up. Tomura has had to do the same. Now, exactly what do you want to do? Deku just thinking about this. The girl can be useful, so... shit. This might not be a good idea. Crap. Deku trying to think more and more and more. Exactly what is he gonna do now? Shit! Deku finally opening his mouth. After roughly 5 minutes, saying that just erase her memory and let her go. We can try this again. I said I can get her on our side. But if we're doing it like this, then that's not really easy. All for one just saying that that should be fine then. In fact, if they're going to do this, well, here. All for one handing the quirks he's using over to Deku, along with handing back Inko's telekinesis. Deku, he actually does feel a lot better having that quirk. And he does get a bit calmer. So, Deku, he would begin putting his hand on Saiko's head and telling her that she will forget all this happened. Along with that, you will forget those incidents. Do you understand me? As Saiko would forget, and begin, leaving. Deku confused and at least a bit happy about this. She didn't get hurt, but that was a bit too close. Now, with that being said, Deku would just hold his hand out to his dad. All for one is saying that he should keep that quirk, in case this incident does happen again and he won't be there to solve it. Now, I believe that since that happened, you will need to get a bit more seasoned at this, my son. You need to go with Tomura tonight. Deku confused. What is he talking about? All of one saying that Tomura is going to a villains meeting. They are going to be discussing things, and in fact, there will be quite a lot of bloodshed. Find yourself a quirk there. You will need it for the next mission. Deku still confused. Tomura is saying that it's not wise to take him on missions. Or no, that would be what Kirigiri would say. Tomura a bit confused as to why he now has to babysit him once more. Before, All For One would just say that he's not babysitting. In fact, it is quite the opposite. He is going to be taking Deku on and teaching him a bit more things, along with Kirigiri watching over you. Now, you two are going to be going on a mission. Do you understand me? Tomura still a bit annoyed, but at least shaking it off. All of one turning to his son, saying that you will bring back a quirk, and you will also make sure to not leave anything behind. I have been too lenient. Clearly, I need to train harder, or train you harder. And you need to be more careful with your cover. So, once you get back, I will be taking away that quirk from you. Deku a bit confused. All for One is saying that I will be taking away your regeneration. Or we will be training that one next. Do you understand? Deku just, well, holding his breath. He's actually a bit scared right now. And, well, yeah. Deku just opening his mouth, saying that he'll train regeneration then. You don't have to take it, it's a useful quirk. I know. It is. I have one of those. Or I believe roughly a couple. They are slow, but they do affect me differently. Each one does. Yours, though, seems to be similar to one of mine. So, once you get that down, I believe the next mission, or the next couple, will get you prepared for this quirk I've told you about. Deku confused. Before, All for One to state that his quirk that you're going to be getting is in possession of someone we are allies with. And in fact, he might be unwilling to give it up. So you will most likely have to kill him. But before that happens, you must also be ready. The quirks you are going to be getting, they need to be offensive, less defensive. Do you understand? Deku just, well, nodding. And beginning. Eventually, time would pass. Deku still training his quirk, and trying to get used to this new brainwashing quirk he has. Trying to actually take it apart and see what he can do with it. Before, well, yeah. Him and Tomura go out. The two actually going to this place. Deku wearing a bit of a mask, along with Tomura actually keeping his head down in his hoodie. Now, they would walk into this place and see exactly where they are. This is actually quite a bit weird. So, he needs to be ready and make sure that things aren't fucked up. Now, Deku would go on Tomura, and quite a lot of villains would pay attention to them. Some of them know who Tomura is, but this young boy following him, that is different. He's a lackey, so. Someone actually coming up to Tomura, telling him that if he's here to test his quirk again, then sadly, that won't be enough. In fact, how about we send your little runt into the cage? You always come here talking to some of our guys, trying to recruit us. So, you gotta earn our respect. Your little lackey there is gonna prove it. Tomura just turning around to look at Deku. Before doing one thing. Telling the man that fine, but first, exactly what kind of opponents is he going to be facing then, if you're going to throw him in a cage? The man just saying that he can fight, well, how about Jug over there? Deku just looking to see the man. The man is huge, and exactly why is he called Jug? Tomura just saying that the boy will fight him then. But first, Tomura turning around and telling Deku to be ready, okay? You aren't just simply going to be fighting that guy. You have to kill him. Deku's still a bit confused, but at least nodding his head. He's killed before, and, well, after a while, the, well, trauma went away. But if he's going to kill again, then it's not going to be easy. He's probably going to get sick to his stomach. So, just calm down. Deku walking into the ring. As someone tells him to take off the hoodie. He can't use it in a fight. Tomura just telling Deku to listen. Deku just taking off the hoodie and everyone being surprised to see a kid, with his face covered. One of them remarking that that boy can't be older than 8, or even 10. The guy in the ring saying that if he's gonna have to do this, then, well, he'll hold back. Deku analyzing his quirk. Deku seeing that the man, he is 46 years old, and his name is not important. In fact, it does seem like he's... Wait, that name, he's seen it before. Deku trying to think. There have been heroes talking about this guy, and his dangerous quirk, since he basically tries to make himself an unstoppable force. Now, with that being said, the man would begin running at Deku. Deku getting ready. The man cocking his arm backwards and throwing a punch at Deku. Deku bringing his hands up and hardening them to steel. As soon as the man's hand connects with Deku's, he would send Deku flying, and actually make Deku hit the wall and the edge of the ring. The man telling the runt to get back up. He's barely started. If he knocks him out with one punch, then quite simply, well, not simply. How about this? You need to fight. I know that you work with that asshole. And his boss is dangerous. So exactly what makes you dangerous? You're just some lackey, aren't you? Then again, why would a child be a lackey? What do I need to do? Deku is someone just looking up at the man, as he brings his hands outwards onto the wall, watching as his hands go from steel to actually bronze, and covering his entire body. Deku just running forwards, and the man doing the same. Deku looking at his quirk. Last Stand. JPG Wrath. Your quirk has been chosen. Now, with that, Deku would turn off his quirk. The man running forwards and sending out another punch at Deku. Deku being able to block it this time and actually somewhat holding back, as he does actually push backwards against the man. People watching as this boy is doing so. Deku immediately just doing one thing. Socking his arm upwards and using his telekinesis to send the man up high into the air, as the man would go high, and Deku would do one thing, throwing his hands outwards and grabbing the man, taking his quirk and then doing one thing, bringing his hands outwards, folding them together, and his hands ignite with fire. People watching as the man in the sky ignites too. Deku mixing his firebending with Inko's telekinesis, creating pyrokinesis. Everyone watching as the man, he is engulfed in fire and flame. Deku just holding his hands closed, his hands sparkling with more and more fire as the man ignites more and more, until Deku slams his body down into the ring. And people walk in and examine him. So, that guy's dead. Now, with that being said, Deku would walk over to Tomura and take his hoodie and just pull it over his head and hide it as much as possible. He doesn't like doing this. It's bad. Now, after the match, quite a lot of people are staring at Deku. Some of them are actually a bit interested in this boy. So, clearly he's powerful. Then again, 3 quirks, or, well, 2 possibly. That is interesting. So, clearly he is working with All For One. Now, the little rumor seems to be true. There is a man sitting at the bar, watching this all go down. And he's really interested in this. He wants to know exactly what that was. Him just asking the bartender if that boy is the one he's looking for. The bartender not saying anything. Just saying that boy was just in the ring, and he killed Jug. If that's what you're talking about, then, well, he's the fighter. The man just thinking that Deku will be easy to control then. This should be simple. As he waits for Deku and Tomura to walk out. As soon as that happens, Deku and Tomura will be walking away. Deku's spider sense going off, and him immediately turning, trying to figure out what's going on as something hits Deku in the neck. And Tomura would turn around, seeing the men running at him. As soon as they grabbed Tomura, they would have immediately pulled him to the ground and restrained him by his hands, folding them together and wrapping his arms up. Tomura trying to get up and at least use his hands tied up to grab them. Him only grabbing one of the men by the arm, and it beginning to decay. The man screaming before he punches Tomura across the face, and they begin to beat him while he's on the ground. Tomura getting annoyed, and actually trying to grab these men more and more. Whatever Deku is hit with, he's on the ground, passed out. The man walking up and telling him that this is going to be easy. That I believe my associates will be very, very pleased to see that I have captured the target. So, this boy, Quirks 3. Let's see. Shigaraki just staring at the man. The man smirking. Walking over to Shigaraki and telling him to send a message to his boss. They know that this kid's valuable, and in fact, believe they've heard of him before. It was a little bit of news for a bit of time, before Heroes pulled it down. The son of a villain. Quite surprising. Shigaraki's eyes widening, before the man sticks out his finger, and stabs it into Tomura's neck, injecting him with something. Tomura immediately beginning to spaz out, and scream. Eventually, the men leaving with Midoriya, and leaving Tomura on the ground. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to stop on, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys later.